Where do we start, Dr. Jim?
Well, this is an eventful week. Something that we talked about ad infinitum really is about pesticides and all the contaminants in the food and so on. And it's a really neat study. It came out like April 27th, so it's brand new. And they did a study and they used Peru. And the reason is in Peru, they have some really nice agricultural areas and they're kind of separate, so they can kind of monitor things real closely. And so they looked at the pesticides in the environment down there, because they do a lot of farming, a lot of so-and-so, and they had they were talking about the risk of cancers and so on. And they showed that the environment with pesticides could increase the risk of cancer by 150%. Now, that's a lot. I mean, math was not my high suit, but 150% is still a pretty good bet.
I mean, it's more than 100.
It is.
And they actually showed that even pesticides that were considered safe,
yes,
even the ones that are safe, mixed with each other, made them not safe.
Yeah, that
was one of the things that study came out saying.
That was the gist.
Was that
really
even things that are, say, these are safe and they don't cause cancer, together they did.
Yeah, and this is stuff that's common. It's in the it's in food, because they're using it growing all kinds of food and so on. And it's just, they could map it. They had some really cool parameters that they could use to really monitor this stuff. And when they came out, it shocked them. It shocked them a lot. And who knows? I mean, even the World Health Organization, for what it's worth, sometimes I wonder about it. But needless to say, they say, oh, this stuff's safe. Yeah, well, when you mix A and B and C together, they're not so safe, But that's the whole gist of the thing.
Well, is that because A and B are not safe, so now C isn't, or is it a combination?
It's a combination. It's probably a combination. They don't know. They say, of course, they always end a thing says, well, we really need more
research.
Well, yeah. Okay, that's an obvious one, but that was a biggie. And and that kind of plays along into another piece. Like I say, very eventful. On April the 17th, University of Southern California published a thing about eating more fruits and vegetables. And this is kind of, I think, it ties right into this. Is tied to unexpected lung cancer and a certain risk. Yeah.
And they say due to getting more pesticides if you eat a lot of fruits and vegetables.
Yeah. Because that's where most of the pesticides are used on your fruits and vegetables.
Yes, that one was interesting because they said women were more susceptible to it.
Well, reason being is because...
And they found that it was a totally different lung cancer than what they're seeing in smokers. Yeah. And they used non-smokers that they followed. So this was non-smokers. So they made sure it wasn't the smoking that actually did it. And that was really weird that people that really ate healthier actually had an increased risk for lung cancer because of the pesticides in the food.
Yeah.
Now, what that tells you is you really, really, really need to eat organic. People always say, oh, well, there's no more nutritional value to organic food than there is regular food. And I said, you're right. The nutritional value itself is no different. What's different is what you don't get from those foods. And, I mean, even though... Even organic probably has traces of pesticides because of the rainwater, but it doesn't have near as much as just spraying. And I always am telling people, you need to go to ewg.org. We've talked about that before, Environmental Working Group. Get a list of the Dirty Dozen. The Dirty Dozen is the fruits and vegetables that you should never eat if they're not organic. And everything on that list are things you don't peel. If you think about it, an avocado, shell's pretty hard. You remove the outside, you don't eat that shell. That's one of the safer things you can eat that's not organic. A grape, terrible. You don't peel a grape. Yeah. Skin is so thin that pesticide goes straight through it. Yeah. And they are heavily sprayed because bugs like sugar. So a lot of these berries are your worst ones to eat. Yeah. Not organic.
The strawberries, blueberries, things like that.
Raspberries, all your berries.
That's the stuff that really gets sprayed a lot, and people don't realize it. And they talk about the avoiding it. And the common person, they say the women tend to. The reason women were so more at risk, they eat more fruits and vegetables. Guys tend to go for the meat, barbecue. That's right. That's it. And
there's a couple of folks kind of in my circle of friends, a couple of women who have been going through battles with lung cancer that are non-smokers. So
that was really when he was like, gosh, look at this study when he found it. I was like, that really does show you that it's the pesticides. It's not the food.
No.
It's what they put on it. But people don't realize how heavily sprayed, especially some of these fruits are. And vegetables. I mean, you even get vegetables that you don't peel most vegetables. I mean, some you might, like a cucumber you might peel, but you don't usually peel a squash. You usually don't peel broccoli, for sure, cauliflower, things like that. And if it has heavily pesticides, it's hard to wash them off. I mean, now you do need to wash also, even if it's organic. You do need to wash well. So we do tell people,
even the organic stuff.
Wash your food, even the organic. But you really, really, really need to try to go to organic. And around here, you can actually get it now. I mean, before we had a harder time, but there are a few grocery stores around here now. I mean, the Walmarts have a lot of organic. The Rouses definitely have a lot of organic. So you really, you might have to go to more than one store to get the different things that you want, because we do. But that's what you need to start looking at.
Organic. That's key.
That's the key.
It is.
That is the key.
And it's not about more nutrition.
No.
It is.
Because the nutrition's the same. You're right. It's the stuff that you don't see.
It's what you don't see.
Yeah, you pay for what you don't get.
Yeah, exactly.
With pesticides.
Yeah, you're paying extra for what you don't.
You pay for extra for what you don't.
And of course, the side effects.
It is, no doubt. He grows food, so it is harder to grow things organic. That's why it costs more.
Bugs
it is.
love it.
You got to do a lot of stuff to keep those bugs off if you're not spraying pesticides.
I'm serious.
You do.
So now we're going to go into something a little different.
Well, it's kind of along the same line. They talk about, increased risk for cancer. Well, it seems like down in Sao Paulo, down in Brazil, they did a really cool study. And so they looked at vitamin D. And because they had a lot of people that's going through chemotherapy, and they found that they took groups, and they had one group that they were doing standard chemotherapy for cancer, and one group got vitamin D, and I'm talking about a low dose, like 2,000 units a day. It's not a high dose.
Huge.
And then the other group got a placebo. It increased longevity or survival and so on by 79%. Even a low dose of vitamin D. Even a low dose.
And we talk about D all the time.
Yeah.
And we talk about how we're seeing huge amount of people with low levels again. It is something so easy to take, and it is inexpensive to take, and it helps so many different things. And so this was even looking at cancer, and it's a huge part of the immune system. So if chemo kind of knocks down your immune system anyway, so you got to keep your immune system as strong as you can. Now, anytime we have somebody that comes in that's doing chemo, we always do lab work to check their vitamin D. We always say we want to get it to optimal. We need to optimize that vitamin D level, because that does make a big difference in how you do with chemo. Well, this just kind of proved it.
Yeah.
Except normally, I can honestly say most of the people I see with cancer are some of the lowest levels of D of anyone.
Yes.
I have had, especially for some reason, colon cancer. I don't know why. When people come in with colon cancer, their D is like 6. I mean, it's always really, really low. So there's tons of research out there over and over and over showing low levels of vitamin D increase your chances of cancer anyway. But this was more about cancer survival when doing chemo, and it helps that too. So why wouldn't everyone want to optimize their vitamin D level?
Sure.
Because we can check your vitamin D, and you can come in and just do vitamin D if your doctor don't do it. So we can check your vitamin D levels, and there's many people that come in that know they have low vitamin D, and they still aren't taking it. I don't get that either.
Especially since it's so beneficial everywhere.
Everywhere.
They've talked about it for years, about bone health, getting the calcium and phosphorus into the bone and all that. And that's what people think, that's all vitamin D is good for. Really, it's just getting that calcium and stuff and phosphorus into the bone. Well, there's a huge component now, and research has been coming out on it for quite a while, actually years now, about how it modulates the actual immune system. And they show that there's this thing called a VDR. Everybody's got VDRs, right? Sort of like a VSL, whatever it is. It's a vitamin D receptor, and every cell in your body has vitamin D receptors. Every cell, not just the bone, every cell. And it can modulate how the immune system, neutrophils, lymphocytes, all that, how it functions. Natural killer cells are real big with it.
Yeah, so
it stimulates them real quick.
So D is known for the immune system, which is why everybody took it during COVID. But D also plays a big role in fatigue and hurting all over, and things that we hear every day people say they're having. I hurt everywhere, I'm tired, It can even help that. So it is something that is everybody out there, we think, should have their D level checked twice a year, summer and winter, to see what your levels, what you should be taking during those times in order to keep them optimal.
Right.
anything that we can be doing to help increase it, or we just need to supplement it?
Sunlight, sunlight does, but if your skin's dark enough or if you get really dark in the sun, you don't tend to make vitamin D as easily. I have seen some studies that you really can't get it from your food. There's only a couple foods they say are high enough in D to really elevate the levels, and that was sun-dried shiitake mushrooms and wild reindeer.
You get some in
Wild reindeer.
I've never seen wild reindeer.
Fresh out.
I've never seen that for sale.
Yeah.
So they do say those foods are the highest, but if you are fair-skinned, red hair, burn easy, you can make your vitamin D in the sun. But you got to get in the sun. Those are the people that avoid it. So I'm always like, the ones that could actually make it are the ones that stay out of the sun, or they cover up all the way and sunscreen from head to toe.
That's also me.
That will keep you. I know he takes D because he's like you. He burns. Yeah. I do not. I'm not a sunscreen person because I just get dark. But I do have to take my D because I don't make enough D either.
Yeah.
So I do, and we do check our levels regularly. So we do check to see where we are.
Do you check that in all of your panels?
We do. Every panel we have has vitamin. Well, I shouldn't say every panel. Some of our really low panels, which we never order. We never tell someone to do the low panels. Sometimes people come in with their doctor's orders and it's one of the low panels. We always tell people you want to do the higher panel that checks vitamin D. Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. Especially since, like we've mentioned a couple of times, it impacts everything.
It does.
It does.
And it could be the answer to a lot of questions, a lot of problems that you're having.
No doubt about it.
What's next?
We've talked about, and I think, I don't know, it's been a long time ago, we talked about a little thing called glymphatic drainage, which was draining.
It was before you were here, I believe.
Okay, because I don't remember this one.
Yeah, you do know what glymphatic drainage is?
Do I?
Do you?
Do I? It doesn't sound like something I was talking about over the weekend.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
It's when your brain cleans itself out.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I could use that.
Kind of like lymphatic drainage is the lymph system.
Right, I knew that one.
Lymphatic is the glial cells in the brain.
The glims.
Yep. So that's when they actually clean itself out, and it's real important in slowing down Alzheimer's and memory loss and things like that.
Okay, this is why you said I should know about this. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Penn State, they did some really neat stuff. They did some what they call micro scanning or micro CT scanning, really kind of state-of-the-art scanning, because they used mice. Okay, they didn't have people that would volunteer, I guess, so they used mice. But what they wanted to see was how the glymphatic and lymph system drains, how everything functions. And they found that there's a channel of blood going in the actual spinal column. Yeah, believe it or not, it's micro. We're talking about microvessels. We're talking about little bitty guys. And what it does is every time we tighten up our muscles, like for instance, you tighten up your abdomen, your core, it tends to put pressure on the spinal cord or spinal column, which gets those little bit, and it kind of is like a pumping action. And they said every little bitty movement causes a shift in that brain. Literally, it moves our brain. And during that, it actually helps the drainage out of the brain. So it's cleaning. So any movement.
So in the long run, it was any movement.
Yeah.
Just moving. It doesn't even have to be hard exercise.
No.
You just need to move.
Yep.
But if it's exercise,
it'd be good too. You move a lot. Yeah, you move a lot that way.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
movement is essential for the brain cleaning itself out. And they've known forever that exercise does help prevent dementia. Wow. So that's actually a good thing to do.